AI workflow workshop with BuildShip. So, hope you're all joining us today to learn a bit about what AI workflows are, what you need to think about as a business, as a product developer, as an indie maker, how you can leverage AI workflows in your businesses, right? And we'll have this as a very beginner friendly session. So, join in and ask your comments and questions, and we'll answer them towards the end of the session. Cool. So, welcome. And let me actually go ahead and share my screen. So, as I said, I'm the co founder and CEO of BuildShip. It's a visual backend builder. And many of you are streaming in here today from the Backdrops Builder season 3 cohort. And what happens here is you can leverage BuildShip to build your ideas. And that's exactly what we're going to see today in this session. So, everyone has great ideas, especially with AI. You have these interesting use cases and explorations that you want to do, and you want to ship them fast, right? So that's the goal here, where in this session, we will hopefully spark some ideas and showcase how you can actually ship them and make them production ready. And typically, the way people do this is, use some of the no code tools out there. It's great for launching things fast, but they're not scalable. They don't have that flexibility beyond a point. They are the black box kind of experience where you build something if the tool offers that feature, otherwise, you're stuck. And they also tend to be expensive for this kind of an early stage exploration. And obviously, if you want to build something scalable and you start coding from scratch, first of all, you need to be skilled as a developer. Otherwise, you need to start understanding how DevOps works, how deployments works. You need to score through lots of SDKs and documentation. Start with some boilerplate type of experience to build your backend workflows in one of these cloud platforms. And obviously, that means that it slows you down. So today we're going to see how you can actually combine the ease of no code with the power of code, and of course with the magic of AI, of how you can get your ideas shipped super fast in a scalable and flexible way. Awesome. So this is what we'll be doing with BuildShip. BuildShip is, as I said, a visual backend builder. To give you like a quick 1-2 minute rundown of what BuildShip is, it's a visual workflow builder, so you can build your logic step by step in this workflow style that you might be familiar with. And then you can select from hundreds of pre-built nodes that we have. So you can choose a database, a AI model, or a tool like Slack or Discord, and anything that you are usually wanting to use in your idea, you can use that. So WhatsApp and Twilio and email and so on. But the thing I said with the black box experience is, what do you do if one of the ideas and the nodes that you want is not available in our pre-built system? Then you go ahead and use AI to ask exactly what you want, and it creates a custom node specifically for your use case. So it takes about a few seconds and then generates a node, and then you have a no code like experience to use that logic. So you can give it an npm package and say, hey, I want to use this, or you can give it a API documentation or a copy paste of a code snippet and say, hey, I want to use this, create a node for it, right? And then once it generates a node, it's again not a black box. So you can actually dig into the code of each and every node. It's in JavaScript, TypeScript format. You can make changes in the code directly, or with AI Copilot, you can keep editing your node to make it exactly functional for your use case. And then when you're ready, you can ship in one click. So when you ship, we'll come to this in a second, what it actually means. But essentially, it allows you to ship your idea as something that can run every day, or an API, or a chatbot, and so on. So you can deploy this to the world in different ways. So that's at a high level what BuildShip is. And if you want to think about what is AI workflows and why you want to build it this way with low code using BuildShip, there are a couple of reasons why. First, AI workflows helps you build things efficiently and get you to productivity goals, is either for your company or yourself as personally, if you're building something to solve your day-to-day problems. And this also opens up unique opportunities for your business. So you might be a company that's already existing, you have all these data sets, and you want different ways to reach your customers, or you want to build something that automates some of the day-to-day tasks. So it has all those opportunities as well as new business ideas that might help you get more leads and users in unique ways. Of course, it does cost savings as well, and it gets you to the market faster. It gives you that flexibility and extensibility so that you can build your ideas exactly the way you want and not be stuck in a certain kind of system and then have to go back to code. And of course, it's scalable. Everything you see here is deployable on Google Cloud and in the future in AWS. So all the things here are scalable as your business grows. So this is one of the kind of big reasons why you should build in this way rather than building in a no code platform, is that you don't are not building an operational marketing use case. You are actually building a backend that is scalable for your product. Cool. So that's overall what BuildShip is. And let's dive into the agenda for this workshop. So at the end of this workshop, if you can get away with three things mainly. One is what you are building. So if you have some idea and you're coming with that, how you can build it, we'll show that with some kind of use cases of how AI workflows work, AI chatbot, and even operational use cases. And then at the end, you'll be given a support system of how you can continue to build. As you know, as developers and builders, it's not like, hey, you've done once, you're iteratively building, getting to the market, getting user feedback, turning things around rapidly. Will give you this great support network with other builders in a Discord community where you can actually get all the help you need to successfully build and ship. Awesome. So, as I said, what can you build with BuildShip? So with BuildShip, you can build APIs, of course, which means that you build these logic blocks and you get this instant API that's already deployed. You don't have to think about how do I go and deploy to Google Cloud, what command to use, how to keep it up and running. All that is taken care of by BuildShip. Is just an instant experience. You can also deploy scheduled jobs or cron jobs or things that run in a periodic time. Say you can say, I want something to run every day morning at 9 a.m., or I want something to run every weekend to generate a report. Or you can say things like, hey, check in periodically with my team members and stuff like that. So things that run on time. Or you can run backend tasks that typically are supporting your operations. And also, BuildShip comes with this built-in database that you can use. It comes with the Airtable-like experience where you can simply, in a spreadsheet, add your data sets and different types of columns and images and assets and use that in your workflows. But BuildShip actually also connects to any other database that you want. So Postgres, Superbase, Firebase, you can actually connect to any database. But if you want an easy, ready to use, no config required database, then you can use the BuildShip database. So those are all the things you can build. And we'll be doing three specific demos today to give you a full experience of what BuildShip is. I would take a pause here to say that, hey, you can actually add questions now, and I'll address them towards the end of the session. So yeah, keep your questions and comments coming in. Um, all right, so first demo, we'll be seeing this object detection using Google Vision. You can actually swap out this with any model you want, and then we'll be extracting all the contents of that receipt and giving it back in a JSON of what that is, and it will show how to further process it. Second demo will show how to build an AI chatbot connected to your own data, your own tools, so that you can give meaningful experience to your users in chat experience, be it on your website as a chat widget or even like a Telegram bot or a WhatsApp bot. And finally, we'll also see some simple emails and operational use cases like Stripe and every time some email is sent, what do you do? So these are all things that you typically need for almost every idea. So you'll also see how you can do that as well. It's not just AI workflows. Awesome, great. So let's start by sharing my screen. Just a second. All right, cool. So every workflow that you see here, So here you have BuildShip's dashboard. So once you set up BuildShip account, it takes a few seconds, literally sign up, and then you'll have this dashboard where you can start building your workflow. So let me clear this out, right? Let me have this plain canvas. So we suggest you start from one of our templates because it gets you to your destination faster. So you have lots of templates here that you can explore, see one that is closest to your use case, pick that and start. Let me start with the very basic hello world one so you get an idea of what a workflow is. So obviously there's already a workflow called hello, so let me change that part of this workflow. So what this is here is two basic things. You're given your trigger or the starting point of your workflow and your inputs. What is the outputs that you're creating? So here my trigger or the starting point is an API call, which is a HTTP request. And then the return is something that gets processed. I'm just saying hello world as the return, right? So this is the anatomy of what a simple workflow looks. Obviously this is not doing anything useful, so let's actually add some nodes and logic blocks. So let me say, for example, I want to generate text from OpenAI, right? So we have lots of OpenAI nodes here. So let me use the text generator one, where you can say your API key, your prompt, your different kind of configurations you want to do for your tokens and temperature and whatnot. You can also select your model and you can test it out. So let me add my key. And as you can see, all the keys are securely stored in a secret manager on Google Cloud. So I'll pick this one. If you don't have it here already, so you can just add a secret and paste it here. It's not accessible on the front end. So here it's a good way to use, especially for your front end applications that you're building, be it on Flutterflow or VWeb or Bubble. If you're no coder or even like other apps, here is a good way to securely store your key and call it from the backend rather than storing it on your front end. Okay, so that's one. Here, user prompt. This is something that you want to fill with the incoming message from the user, right? So if you try to test this with some static value, it's just always running that value. So if I say, give me a poem about BuildShip, visual backend platform, you are a poet is the job title for this system prompt. If I try to test this, as you can see, this actually will run this specific test all the time and give you the same kind of similar output every time. So it takes a few seconds to run this and call that API. And while that's doing, it's actually also easy to show you what is actually happening behind the hood. So here it's actually just doing that call via API in that code. You can make changes directly to the code or you can edit with AI. So as I was saying, like if I test this, it gives you the response that would be useful to make sure this node works the way you want. And you can make changes with AI if you want to make additional logic blocks for this. So yeah, that takes a few seconds. Let's see what's going on here. So there's also the concept of cold start, which means the first time something runs, it takes a few seconds, and next time onwards it'll be significantly faster. That's because of the plan and so on. So yeah, here as you can see, the response came back. So if I see, yeah, there's a great poem about BuildShip. And this is a one way to test a node. But if you want to systematically run something every time, right? Every time a user sends an input via the API from your front-end application, and you have to pass that in. So here what you do, you can do it in a couple of ways. So first, in your inputs of your trigger, you can give a request body, and you can call this prompt, right? And then save it. Now you can start accessing this in your request here. So incoming request query parameter prompt, that is your user prompt. So this is what is appended to your API's URL at the end. And system prompt can be same, you are a poet. Now, you want to return the poem that got generated. So the value, instead of a static hello world, you will be sending back a response that was generated from the previous node, which is the text generator. Cool. So this is your entire workflow up and running. And now we can test this. Let's give this a prompt. Let's say the same thing, poem about BuildShip. And then when you test it, what happens is it step by step runs each of these. So yeah, here there's some issue here. Let's see what the issue is. So here we can actually say the incoming request query parameter and prompt, right? And what this does is it's content, it's missing something, right? It's expecting a string, but it's not getting a string. So if we go back here and edit this and see this, it is a string here. Let's change this key as well to prompt. And that probably could be the reason where it's thinking it requires a key and it's actually getting this. So let's test this again. Hopefully this works this time. Oops, it doesn't. So actually what let's do is let's get rid of this and let's say simply that it's a query parameter, right? And it's a prompt. All right. And then if we test this again, hopefully third time is the charm. And one of the things about interesting things here is also that you can look at the logs, so you can build like a developer. So great, now it works. So previously it was taking the key and it was getting confused that it's not a string. So as you can see, this is a way to debug, right? You can see the logs, you can see what failed, you can test again. And when you're happy here, as you can see, the response came back. And then here you have this complete workflow. You are now ready to ship. And when you ship this, it gives you this URL endpoint. So as you see, this is the endpoint and it's all fully ready, hosted, and it's a completely working app. You can now plug this in anywhere and start using this as a complete workflow. Hopefully that is interesting. So that is a very basic workflow. This is not going to be a real valuable use case, right? What you need to do is, see how else you can augment it, how you can continuously improve it, right? So now you have some additional logic that you want to add. Say, suppose you want to add branching, or you want to add looping to go through certain things over and over. So you have all these types of nodes that you can use to build your logic blocks. And you can also generate with AI. You can say, hey, given a text, I want to generate, given a number, for example, I want to generate a random number. You can say, given two numbers, right? Generate a random number between the two and return the number. So this is a very basic example, but here, if say, suppose you are like, hey, use this NPM package, you can paste that here. If you want to say, hey, I want to given this, use this API to get me the response, you can paste the sample code snippet of the API here, and you can click generate with AI, and it does this magic in a few seconds, and then comes back with a node that is actually a code node that you can actually see. So it's essentially like a copilot, but it's giving you a visual no code logic block, so that if you are not a developer, you can, no need to use the code at all, or no need to even look at the code. So here I'm gonna test this out to see if they built it the way we want. So I'll generate a random number between 1 and 10, run it, and let's see, it takes yeah, there you go. And as you can see, as always, you can look at the code for each and everything. Awesome. Great. So this is one example. So as I said, we're going to see the example of Google Vision. So this is the Google Vision template that I have just cloned from here. And each project on BuildShip comes with a Google Cloud project pre-built for you. So that means no need to go to Google Cloud Console, no need to jump through all the console kind of things. You just have something already working, zero configuration needed. So here we have a simple detect receipt API. It calls the Google Vision template node here, and you can actually look at every node's information here to learn more about it, what each field means. And here we are passing the URL to the Google Vision model, and it extract the text and gives you back the response. So if I test this, I've given a simple receipt. So if I open this, it's a Walmart receipt, and I can say test this. All right, cool. So there you go. All the text is extracted. Now, if I want to continue to build on this logic and I say, hey, let me use the Grok model because it's super fast. Let me add the secret. And let me add some prompt like find analyst or data analyst, right? You're a data analyst, and the system prompt is data analyst find the total from a given text, total value from a given text of a receipt, for example, right? And you pass the value from this node to this node by selecting that Google Vision object detected. And you can use a model. Let me use the most latest and greatest. And then finally, you want to return whatever the Grok model created. So hopefully this time it then not just looks at the scraped content here, it actually then goes and figures out what the total value is and returns that. So let me do that. Okay, so it says 46.3. Hopefully that is the value. Yeah, here we go. And now you can further prompt it. And if you don't want this specific text blob, you want that just the number, you can keep prompting and adjusting to make it what you want. And so it's kind of deterministic and not hallucinating. And then you can build more logic. So for example, if the value is more than $50, you want to send alert to Slack. For example, if somebody in your company is or reimbursement is happening, or if it's less than $50, then just process it or something like that. You can build your logic the way you want. Great. So this is the first kind of example I was talking about, which is the Google Vision one. Now let's see how you can build an AI chatbot. But before that, let me dive into the comments to see if there are any questions, anything that people are not sure about. We can do that right now. All right, so lots of questions. Looks like my co-founder Shams has jumped into the chat and answering questions as well. Is it only backend? So someone is asking if this is only for backend. So this is actually backend and AI workflows and chatbot. We also have the chatbot widget that I'm going to talk about. It comes bundled with the UI component as well, if you would like. But yes, predominantly it's for building your backend logic block with BuildShip. So someone has a question. Streaming version of Assistant Node and doesn't have Flutter Flow to show a way for handling the streams. Actually, interestingly, you don't need to write custom code. We actually have something coming out soon. We'll have a video as well where you can stream the chatbot that I'm going to show on Flutter Flow using Firebase. That's great. So let's hop back into the demo again. And now the second demo we're going to see is with AI Assistant Chatbot. So imagine this, right? Like, let me go to the BuildShip website. We have lots of templates for assistant chatbot. Say, for example, if you want to build a chatbot that is connected to your database and wants to give nutritional information or recommendations for your customer based on the menu of a restaurant, or if you want to connect your chatbot to your data on Google Sheets and you are a company that is doing furniture store and you want to give recommendation where your users can come and ask questions like, hey, what are the products available for you in this price range, or what types of sofas you offer, those kind of questions. It kind of helps your customer be more successful on your platform. So if I go to this one, for example, and if I chat to try, as you can see, this is the kind of experience, but this is just a pluggable HTML in like 4 lines of code. You can add this on any website. So Webflow, Framer, Wix, even WordPress, any website you can add this. Or if you want, you can have this kind of experience in app if you're building a mobile app or like a web app and so on. So this kind of an experience you can give to users connected to your own data, and this leads to good conversion for your customers landing on your website. Lead generation, for example, if you want to connect this to a form and process it in a certain way with high potential clients. So yeah, it's a fully flexible system, and we'll see how you can build this connected to your own database and tools, and how you can explore different ideas. So let me go back to BuildShip, and let me go to this template here, chat with Google Sheets. So we have a lots of examples. So this is an example. We have a video on, we have a video for almost everything. So if you clone a template, you'll get a link to the video so you can take a look at that. Say for example, City Advisor. This is a simple one that's not connected to any tools. This is the OpenAI assistant node that we have added. And this is a special node where you can connect to different tools and databases to make sure your assistant is operating in that context, is able to take certain actions and stuff like that. And this node that you have here, you can also have AI assistant with other models. So we recently launched with AI assistant with Cloud and with Azure. This one. And then we also have a AI assistant on Grok actually coming out this week. So stay tuned for that if that is something you want to add. And this OpenAI assistant specifically is a streaming one. So you can actually have two flavors of it. So you have the OpenAI assistant without streaming, and then you have the OpenAI assistant with streaming. So if you want to give a streaming type of experience in your chat instead of waiting for this big blob of response in one go, which kind of makes it look slower than it is. So those are the two options. So here we have an API, we have an OpenAI assistant node, and then we are returning something. It's a simple one. You need to follow the instructions that's on here, where you, for each field, what you need to fill. So the API key, you fill the OpenAI key. For the assistant ID, you go to OpenAI, create an assistant, and just copy the assistant ID here. No need to do any configuration on the OpenAI side. If you want, you can actually do everything on BuildShip. So you can add things like instructions and user prompt that will override the one that is on your OpenAI side. And the most important thing in this whole thing is actually the prompt of your assistant. The more accurate you are, the more kind of guidelines you give, the more successful your assistant would be. So if I go for another example and show this, right? Instructions. Let me open this. As you can see here, it's a full detailed explanation of what this assistant does. So it's a specialist of this company, Azure Home. It has detailed knowledge about all the furniture and decor products this company has. Your task, the assistant's task, is to provide information and helpful response to the users and so on. So you can read this example and then change it to your needs. As I said, start with the template that's closest to you instead of starting from scratch. And you can test and try out this before deploying it. So you can test multiple times with different instructions and prompts. And so that is the instructions. And then finally, the user prompt, just like the OpenAI node that we saw previously, it's kind of coming from the user's request. So suppose your user is chatting some message here. This comes as a post request in the body, and that is what the user's request is. And thread ID is a concept for storing, maintaining the conversation and having that context rather than every conversation being like a request response. So here, if someone comes to your website and starts a conversation, a thread ID is created and they can have a follow-up question and a follow-up question so that they're not, again, starting from scratch. All right, cool. So this thread ID is just passed in from the body of the incoming message. So first time it will be blank because it's just starting. Second time onwards, it will be appended and passed on to the assistant. And then finally, you can add different data sources and tools for your assistant. So here we have the data source of Google Sheet, but as I said, you can add a data source of even Superbase. We have a chat with Superbase video coming out really soon. We're super excited about that one. Chat with your Firebase, for example, chat with Postgres. So yeah, this is any database, even a database on, say, Airtable, for example. Or if you actually use the BuildShip's own database, right? So we have BuildShip database, as I said, you can get that and connect to it. So here's that handy database that you can use without any setup. Here we have lots of tables. Say, for example, this My Menu one has different columns and different menus. So if you connect to this and use it, then you don't need to even use an external database. So let's see this example with a Google Sheet is the most basic and easiest accessible database, right? So here we have on this Google Sheet, if I open this, lots of furniture information, different prices and different dimensions and fields and so on. And then coming back to this, you connect here with a simple authentication with your account. You say which sheet you're using in that Google Sheet. And then now your assistant can start chatting with it. So if I test this, if I pass in the body, so let me actually test right here. Instead of using here, let me ask, what sofas do you have? So let me just test this assistant node and let me click this. There you go. It comes in, and let me actually in the meantime look at the questions. Someone says that they have been using BuildShip's V1, and I'm pretty sure we do it info. Okay, so I love to learn more about how to train with different models. So that's something coming as well. Do these instructions and prompts for OpenAI Assistant node in BuildShip override the one on OpenAI itself? Yes. So if you're using BuildShip Assistant, it's an easy way for you to create the function calling and tools without having to code. So if you're doing this on OpenAI directly, what happens is you have to deploy the code and you have to tweak certain things. So you just need to create a thread ID on OpenAI, come here and start building your entire tooling for your assistant. Hope that helps. Yeah, so lots of interesting questions coming here. So it's hard to actually multitask this way. So I'll come back to your questions at the end. Cool. So as we are talking, the response came back here. It kind of attached to your Google Sheet says things like, hey, these are all the things that are available. Let me expand this a bit. Okay, so as you can see, this is a response JSON, and here it has all the other things in your response as well, like the thread ID, as I mentioned. So this is the first time this is coming. Next time you pass this thread ID in your request again, it continues the conversation. So I can say, oh, I like this elegant leather chased lounge, and it will talk a bit more about that. So that's assistant. And then similarly, as you ship, because you have built this assistant completely, it now gives you a same kind of previous experience of an A endpoint. But interestingly, we also have a chat widget, because the most common way for you to use your assistant is with a chat widget. So we thought, hey, why not build a chat widget that you can easily use? Of course, you can create your own chat widgets, you use this API-based communication. But if you don't want to and want to really move fast and use this chat widget, here we have ability for you to customize it. So if you open this, you can say, okay, my chat widget's title is furniture store. And you can say, want help, right? That kind of a customization. And you can also do things like if you want to open on load, if you want to click outside to close, if you want the response to be streaming. So if you did use OpenAI Assistant with the stream node that I mentioned earlier, you can actually stream the response. So let's give this a try. Let me ask the same question. What sofas do you have? It's a bigger question, actually. That's why it takes slightly longer, because as you can see, There are a lot of units here. You can also add the concept of vector embeddings if you want to directly use this. So that's a video that is separately available. I'll link it in the description. So you can actually connect to your vector data store as well. So we have lots of ones, Pinecone, for example, or even the Millisearch hybrid search, vector search is available. So you can use one of those as well. But let me go back here. Let's go back to the chat. As you can see, the response came back. Then you can continue the conversation and so on. So hopefully gives you this exciting idea. Maybe you have something that you wanted to build in like a couple of days that covers this use case. Give this a try. This can be an interesting one to plug into any website as well. As I said, we have tutorial for how to embed this in Webflow, and we have ones coming on Framer, Wix, even WordPress. That is going to be exciting because we have a plugin for WordPress that you can use by just adding this endpoint. All right, cool. So that's the second use case that I was talking about, which is AI assistant chatbot. And then finally, I want to mention about this demo around operational use cases. The most common use cases, every app needs them. So let's not go around them. Let me go back to my Hello World node template here. Let me delete this. Say, for example, if you don't want to do an API call, if you want to connect it to a Stripe account, for example. So let me get rid of this one. Let me add a Stripe webhook. So what this does is it uses your key, and then you can start listening for any events. So every time a new customer subscription is created, you want to create a workflow, for example. You want to get alerted somewhere. You want to look at their profile on, using Perplexity search. You want to learn more about this user, or you want to connect with them on LinkedIn. So those kind of things, you can build more interesting workflows to retain your customers better. You can also do things around, hey, every time a trial is ending, you send them some message checking in, offering them ways for you to chat and office hours and whatnot. And then those kind of workflows are super easy to build without having to deploy anything. The other kind of interesting operational trigger that we have, so here if I go back, we have support for other payment platforms as well. So if you're using Lemon Squeezy, Revenue Cat, you can use those. And then, as I said, you have operational use cases of, say, you want to generate a report every month or every week. You can use one of these scheduled ones. Let's see. So the email one, for example, let's add that. Here, when you add this trigger, you get this email, which is a unique one for this workflow. And then you can start sending emails to this email and then process them. So every time a new email comes to this email, this workflow will be triggered. You can get the contents of the email and then process them. Say, create a draft response for, hey, this message, use this context and data that you already have, create like a support response that you can then send it after you review it, right? Connected to your documentation and stuff like that. So this could be a good way for triggering your AI assistant as well. So if you don't want your assistant to be based on a chatbot on your website, you want it to be based on like a support email coming to your inbox, you can trigger your assistant in this style. All right, so that's kind of all the things in terms of the demos I wanted to cover. So hopefully these demos and agenda for this meeting was covered, where it gave you an idea. Of course, we didn't go through end-to-end a complete use case. We have lots of videos for that. And I mentioned, like, we have lots of templates for you to start from. And if you have any questions and comments, join us on our Discord, where we will be answering a lot of questions. We have like a great support team in place, and we would like to help you in your journey to build and ship. All right. Great. So let me jump to the questions section. And let's see what folks have to ask. All right. So is there a more detailed video about email automation? Yes. So this actually, we have a light version of the email. So if there's a specific email automation that you're looking to build, we'll actually create a video on this very soon as well. So yes, that's coming soon. um, can we make a recurring, um, where user chooses the cadence? Yes. So good point. So here we have, as I was showing earlier, the cadence for this recurring is hour, minute, and so on. But actually, we have this scheduled as well, where you can define. So um, if your user is sending the cadence, right, rather than this, um, you can actually set with a variable that's actually not available right away now, but we will be doing that soon. Let me actually try this with the scheduled one. Yes. So actually, looks like your user cannot set it. It's set here because actually what happens is here it's a deploying at a specific thing to run every time. That's a good point. We'll actually look into it if that is possible, um, and actually make a video on that as well if it is. Right. Could I use this to replace Zapier? John has a question. Well, the thing is, Zapier is a great product for operational marketing use cases. It has lots of integrations. I would say if you're building like a meaningful backend and if you want to scale and you want a lot more customization and advanced capabilities, then BuildShip is a great choice. Yes, you can of course use BuildShip to replace Zapier. We actually have lots of users who are doing that, especially when they're hitting the limits of Zapier and coming to BuildShip. And BuildShip is a good way for you to also learn a few things around low code. So if you don't feel like, hey, I'm daunted by code and I want to explore, this is actually a great platform to do that as well. And if you have like custom nodes that you want to use connected to different APIs and things that Zapier does not support, BuildShip allows you to build your own custom nodes, save them to the library, reuse, and so on. So in those use cases, definitely yes. All right. Cool. So WordPress plugin, yes. So that is going to be yes huge. We already have it, working. We are creating a video on it. We're hoping to launch this really soon in the next couple of days, right? This is going to allow you to, in one click, add a plugin to your WordPress, add this API, and then start having this embedded chat component in your WordPress website. This is a lot of users have asked us this, and it is possible. Anywhere you can embed a HTML code snippet, you can already use it, but we're trying to make it even more easier for you. All right. Can you build Chrome plugins? Yes, actually, we have had a few users who are already building this. So, Chrome plugin is just calling an API and it's triggering something and showing the response in the plugin. Those are possible as well. Yeah. So, if anybody has interesting idea for this, join us on Discord and let us know. We can co-build this together and showcase it. Awesome. Great. So I think there are lots of comments here. Um, okay, so for image generation custom models, you can make and host LoRa models or FAL. Yes, Shams has answered that questions. If we have a standard prompt or some kind of prompt, how can we use that? So yeah, if you have, we have also this concept of environment variables that I didn't showcase earlier, which is useful for if you have like a large set of prompts that you want to use across different places, you can actually store them in environment variables as values, and you can actually store them, access them easily. And then here, as I said, you're building like a developer, so you can access the logs, you can access version history, you can go back and forth, and then you can also look at the status of your workflows in production, right? So we have uptime tracking. So this is just a demo project, so there's not a lot of things going on. Only if we manually call it. But if it, imagine this was a production system, then it has things up and running all the time. You can also monitor for errors. Yeah, so you can create folders to manage all your workflows in different environments. So we have, for example, dev, staging, and prod separated out by folders. You can also create multiple projects. Say, if you want to have different organizations, if you're an agency managing different companies, you can create one for one of them, and so on. All right, great. So I think this kind of covers all the things that we wanted to cover in this session. And I think we're going to hit the 1 hour mark really soon. So I want to leave with a few points. So this session hopefully gave you some good starting point for how BuildShip works, what BuildShip is, and how you can use it in your ideas. So we would like to say that this, if you spend like an hour building some idea with BuildShip, you should get a really good understanding of what BuildShip is. We have lots of videos for you to explore and build alongside on YouTube. And as I said, most importantly, we have like a great community on Discord. So join us there, and we want to help you support your BuildShip journey. And especially if you're coming here, tuning in here from the backdrop build V3, we actually have an interesting session just specifically for you, where if you use BuildShip, you will have opportunity to submit for winning prizes, showcase and add your templates and ideas to BuildShip's community and showcase it further to the larger audience. So if you're building as part of Backdrop with BuildShip, join our Discord and leave us a comment saying that you're coming in from Backdrop, and we will add you to a special group for creating more opportunities for you. Awesome, great. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in, and I enjoyed this, and hopefully you learned something new, and I will look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye.